Welcome back to Views with Hughes, Agenda Free News. This is Jerome Hughes. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, Kathleen Kennedy, has been steering the ship at Star Wars for years, and many fans believe that Kathleen Kennedy has taken it far from its original roots. But imagine if Kathleen Kennedy decided to go ahead and take a different approach, one that resonates with, conservative values, bringing Star Wars back to its core of individualism, traditionalism, or more clarity. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even call it traditionalism. I would call it the original George Lucas Star Wars, because Lucas was neither conservative nor liberal in today's standards and everything. But what if Kathleen Kennedy took on Star Wars back today? And, as you all know, Kathleen Kennedy holds the keys to, the future of Star Wars. And if Kathleen Kennedy wants to go ahead and revive this beloved saga, well, then it's time for Kathleen Kennedy herself to embrace the themes that made Star Wars timeless. So before we go ahead and jump right into it, be sure to smash the like button and share this video far across social media. Be sure to subscribe to this new channel and click the bell notification so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. All right, so first off, individualism. That has always been the heart of Star Wars before Kathleen Kennedy came over and took over. And Kathleen Kennedy needed to refocus on bringing back the magic. You see, Kathleen Kennedy should look at characters like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and even Darth Vader. These are different stories driven by individual heroism or villainy, personal choices, and responsibility, okay? And if Kathleen Kennedy should steer clear of narratives that focus on collective movements or even societal changes, instead highlight individual journeys, okay? From Luke's decision to become a Jedi into Anakin's tragic fall, these are stories of personal agency, something that Kathleen Kennedy needs to understand deeply. Now, Kathleen Kennedy could revitalize Star Wars by emphasizing the classic American spirit and independence and responsibility if she took that way. But then Kathleen Kennedy must also see that focusing on individual choices rather than collective agendas of woke ideology will resonate with fans who feel that Star Wars has drifted away from its particular core. Now, there's also the issue with legacy. You see, this is the element that Kathleen Kennedy need to go ahead and recognize as essential to Star Wars. See, people cherish stories that honor, heritage, wisdom, and the lessons of past generations. And Kathleen Kennedy could leverage this to reignite the fan passion, to bring back, the whole embrace of the classic George Lucas Star Wars. And Kathleen Kennedy has a wealth of material to explore, from ancient histories of the Jedi to the legacy of the Skywalkers. And Kathleen Kennedy's focus should be focused on crafting stories that respect the past, not rewrite it. And if Kathleen Kennedy should delve into rich lore of the Jedi, highlighting the traditions and values that made them powerful rather than making them villains. Instead of pushing woke modern agendas, Kathleen Kennedy could go ahead and also celebrate the existing heritage that fans love. And Kathleen Kennedy could also help restore Star Wars by embracing its roots and showcasing the timeless battles and traditions that define the universe itself. Now, Kathleen Kennedy also needs to bring back what's called moral clarity, a crucial element that has been missing under her leadership. And Kathleen Kennedy and her approach to Star Wars often blurs the lines between good and evil, but the original trilogy was clear. The Empire was evil and the rebellion was good. Now, another thing to consider is that Kathleen Kennedy needs to understand that this simple dynamic resonates deeply with audiences, all right? And Kathleen Kennedy should focus on stories that showcase clear moral stakes, where heroes stand firm and villains are truly bad, all right? And this doesn't mean that Kathleen Kennedy needs to strip away complexity, but the battle between light and dark should be at the forefront, all right? Now, Kathleen Kennedy could learn from, the success of classic arcs like Darth Vader's, where redemption was earned through personal struggle, not through moral relativism. And Kathleen Kennedy, and her best move would be to reinforce the traditional battle of good versus evil that Star Wars fans crave. Now, then there's also the issue of character development. That's another area where Kathleen Kennedy must change her approach. And Kathleen Kennedy and her recent characters, they would often feel like they're defined more by political statements than by compelling personal stories. Now, Kathleen Kennedy also needs to prioritize merit and personal growth over identity politics, and characters should earn their roles because of their actions, not because they fit into a particular agenda based on their skin color and sexuality that Kathleen Kennedy is pushing. And Kathleen Kennedy should look back at characters like Anakin Skywalker, for example, whose personal failings and ultimate redemption made him compelling in the first place. And also Kathleen Kennedy could refocus on characters who grow through their choices, all right, not their social positions at all. And Kathleen Kennedy must also realize that fans connect with characters who face real struggles, overcome adversity, and even earn their place in the story as well, or simply create characters that actually would contribute to in the story that the fans will love. Kind of like what George Lucas did with Mace Windu for the prequels trilogy, or even like with I forgot his name, but basically the character of Billy D. Williams from The Empire Strikes Back. But other than that, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy does have a chance to create the narratives that, focus on strength of character, something that has basically been missing in her tenure. Now, Kathleen Kennedy and her way of marketing, they failed completely. Otherwise, numbers would have been better. Marketing strategies have also been problematic, where under Kathleen Kennedy, Star Wars has often become more about making political statements, as well as reaching out to an audience that doesn't even care about Star Wars than celebrating its epic roots. Now, Kathleen Kennedy should shift away from discussions about diversity as a marketing angle and return to highlighting what makes Star Wars great, which is adventure, lore, and timeless themes. And Kathleen Kennedy must also understand that fans are not looking for lectures on modern day politics. They want to be entertained. And Kathleen Kennedy could revive the franchise's appeal by focusing on what the fans love about Star Wars, which are the unforgettable characters, the epic battles and wars, and the deep lore. Now, Kathleen Kennedy needs to also reconnect with a fan base that feels that she alienated and everything without excluding other audiences. And Kathleen Kennedy could win back fans by emphasizing classic Star Wars elements from George Lucas, not polarizing political analogies. And Kathleen Kennedy should focus her marketing efforts on the adventure and the excitement of the galaxy, something that everyone can enjoy. Okay. But the question is, will we ever see that? And when it comes to production choices, Kathleen Kennedy must be mindful of the directors and writers she select. Now, Kathleen Kennedy should consider creators who are naturally leaning toward, the center for storytelling elements, where directors who understand the value of tradition, personal responsibility, and clear moral narratives. That's going to solidify the Star Wars universe even more. And Kathleen Kennedy's decisions in this area can make a significant impact on the tone and style of Star Wars. Now, Kathleen Kennedy doesn't need to overly label everything, as in a certain way, but she should allow the storytelling to speak for itself. And Kathleen Kennedy should recognize the importance of universal themes like family, heroism, and resonate deep with all audiences. By choosing storytellers who align with these values, Kathleen Kennedy could also subtly but effectively reshape Star Wars into a narrative that appeals to everyone without losing its core essence. All right, something that George Lucas was able to do. Now, honestly, culturally, Kathleen Kennedy does have a chance to make Star Wars reflective of broader societal concerns without becoming divisive. And Kathleen Kennedy could, develop stories that touch on the importance of tradition, strong communities, and even the dangers of the unchecked change, all without heavy-handed political messaging. And another thing to consider is that Kathleen Kennedy can also take a look to the classic conflicts of Star Wars, the rebellion against the Empire, the Jedi struggle to maintain their traditions, as examples of how to tell compelling stories that resonate with conservative values. Well, not just conservative values, but just values in general. And Kathleen Kennedy must bring back these themes that, people connect with, subtly weaving them into the narratives without alienating other fans. And Kathleen Kennedy has the ability to balance these elements and makes Star Wars a unifying force once again. Another thing to consider is that Kathleen Kennedy also needs to pay attention to criticism, especially from the Star Wars fans who feel sidelined. And Kathleen Kennedy doesn't need to bow to every demand, but recognizing the voices of fans who believe Star Wars has lost its way could go a long way with rebuilding trust. Now, Kathleen Kennedy also often seemed to be dismissive of criticism, but if Kathleen Kennedy were to actively listen and incorporate feedback, well, guess what? She could begin to repair the rift within the fan base. And Kathleen Kennedy, her focus should be on what made Star Wars an iconic saga, which is mythic storytelling, more battles, and compelling characters by acknowledging the roots of Star Wars. That Kathleen Kennedy could bridge divides and bring back the fandom together. Now, Kathleen Kennedy's willingness to listen could also mark a significant turning point for the franchise itself. All right. But in the end, Kathleen Kennedy holds the power to realign Star Wars with narratives that emphasize, individual heroism, traditional values, as well as moral clarity. And then Kathleen Kennedy could also repair the bridges with fans who, feel like the franchise is strayed into too much political commentary by today's standards. And by focusing on what first drew people to Star Wars, which is epic storytelling that transcends political divides, Kathleen Kennedy could make Star Wars great again. Kathleen Kennedy's challenge is to see beyond the culture on current trends and reconnect with the timeless elements that made Star Wars an enduring legend. But the big question remains: will Kathleen Kennedy take this opportunity? Will Kathleen Kennedy distill the Star Wars back to its roots and the kind of storytelling that, resonates with, the audiences across the whole political spectrum, whether they're on the left or the right? Only time will tell, but if Kathleen Kennedy wants to see Star Wars thrive, well, this kind of perspective offers a clear path forward, and Kathleen Kennedy's role is actually pretty pivotal, where she can either continue down the current path or choose to honor the legacy that made Star Wars iconic in the first place. And Kathleen Kennedy has a chance to make a real difference, and it's up to Kathleen Kennedy herself to decide if she's ready to take Star Wars back to its rightful place as a beloved cultural touchstone. But I'm doubtful. She still has an opportunity to do this. So Kathleen Kennedy, the ball is in your court. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead, smash the like button, share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the notifications so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.